click, click, just like that. We're back. Still talking movies. Yeah, I mean, I just got out of a red light, switched over, start up a new recording. We're going just that quick. I don't know what I'm going to title these, but I'm going to try to keep them, part 1 and part 2, because this literally is, still got a ways to go to work yet, on the road-wise, but I ain't got to be there not too damn quick, so I could probably get out another 30 minutes of talking all this shit. I was talking indie movies and indie video games and shit like that, how those are on the uprise. Here's another thing that's kind of got the uprise. I'm going to try to keep this to movies again, but we all know, beer drinkers all over. You know your Budweisers, your Bud Lights, Miller Lights, your Genuine Drafts, your High Life, and all that shit. You notice how many craft beers are making a big splash lately? And sure, not just your Sam Adams, but all over the joint. Funky Buddha Brewery down here in South Florida. You got shit like Leinenkugels that's out of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, pretty close enough to where I grew up. That's even got its roots kind of sewn down this way. Sierra Nevada, another good one that people tend to enjoy. We're kind of getting sick of the same old, same old. Like I said, video games, movies, even beer, they're doing that shit. But back to the movie side of things, yeah, I know that I'm talking down a couple of things, but I love James Bond movies. To the extent of, like I said, they're all out of Ian Fleming novels, so they're kind of creating it on their own, and they're telling good stories along the way. And for me, that's good. But to reboot shit like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies now apparently don't exist because they're starting up a new Spider-Man set of movies, and these are the ones we're supposed to follow through on. I don't really like that. And like I was saying, Terminator and fucking Rocky, those are strictly surrounded around Schwarzenegger and Stallone. Now, Sarah Connor, when Linda Hamilton played that role, especially in Terminator 2, I was a little too young. Shit, I don't know when that first movie came out. That was early 80s, right about the time I escaped the womb. But Terminator 2 came out, I want to say 92, 93. I was about 10 years old at the time. That movie captured me good enough. That movie had me good, like, okay, this is the shit. And everybody knew who Arnold was at the time. So it's, but in this Terminator movie, he's kind of a good guy Terminator. Whereas in the first movie, he was the bad guy. So, like, that kind of got me pretty good. I was kind of digging that shit. All right, this guy in front of me had time to go on this light, and he's looking at the dude that's getting hauled away in the cop car. Why don't you pay attention to what you're doing business-wise, Mr. Driving around in your fucking Acura? Get moving. Yeah, you ain't gonna pay no attention to this. Oh, maybe he is on the gas pedal. There you go. But these people are turning. You got to slow down for them, dummy. God damn. Dumber than a frozen stump in a goddamn field out in South Dakota in the middle of December. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Boy, you better pay your bills because you sure as fuck don't pay attention. At any rate. Yeah, Terminator, Stallone, Rocky. Stop it. So all I'm saying about that is, please stop that shit. Because those series are only based upon the lead actor. Once Stallone and Schwarzenegger die, are there going to be new age Terminators that pick up that role and run with? And how long can you run those stories into the fucking dirt? Because they already have been run into the fucking dirt. And it's sad. Like something science fiction like Terminator, you could theoretically keep going on forever. Because Judgment Day is going to be this day, this time, at this place, this event is going to do it. Well, why can't you just stop Judgment Day, 20 minutes before that? Like, this guy's coming to push the giant red button that's going to launch all the nukes. Well, why don't you just kill him before he wakes up that morning? You have to be this place and what Skynet, if they know that there's going to be resistance and they're going to send robots and shit like that back to the past to stop the prevention of all that, you're just going to keep resending. Every 6 or so years, you're going to resend Terminators and they're going to try to stop John Connor. Then it'll never end, essentially. And why is the story so locked into these 3 or 4 people, so locked into the point where really nobody else can help them, nobody else is involved in this, nobody else has knowledge of it, nobody else is able enough to stop these fucking Terminators from killing shit? and being disastrous to all of mankind, and we're going to be enslaved by goddamn robot. These 4 people are the only ones. I can't so much buy that. It's like it's burnt itself out so bad. Kind of, even The Matrix, with 3 movies, they could have just left it at 1. All you had to do for that first Matrix movie is to not have Keanu Reeves fly at the very end of the movie, and that's a good fucking... Dude, you would almost be clamoring for a sequel to see what the hell... Well, they talk about Zion. They talk about, once all this gets taken care of, Zion is where the party would be thrown, brother. This is where it's gonna happen. This is how it's gonna be. But the prophecy and the oracle and the this and the that, and they're talking all that stuff. And it's like the end of the movie, it's kind of like, wow, he just took out all those damn Agent Smith guys. And it's like things seem to be pretty good. Like they didn't go to Zion, or ain't no celebration. Like, leave it to our imagination. Nope, he gets up and shoom, he flies away. Well, he wasn't able to fly until right there. Why the fuck is he now just flying? He just gained that much more, superpower within the Matrix. Like, he knows how to fly now. Ah, man. And then those movies got progressively worse. And they had all 3 movies, I guess, set, to go 1 year after the other. Boom, 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 in succession. And those movies just got worse. That first one was a hit. That was a damn good movie. It was a little bit of sci-fi, a hell of a lot of action, kind of alien-esque kind of shit, like all kinds of fun shit going, like all realms of sci-fi. There was kind of space, there was kind of post-apocalyptic, there was kind of Big Brother's watching you and wanting to take over, all of existence. There were all realms of sci-fi in that movie with some damn good action scenes, good fighting shit, camera work, cinematography, whatever, blah, 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 CG, remember the dodging of the bullets kind of shit? Like, that was like, boom, revolutionary in its time. And in just 3 movies, killed itself. Killed itself really bad. I mean, granted, you got an idea, maybe all 3 movies were done, and they wanted to do that strategically. I think they jumped too quick to it. I really think they jumped too quick to it. And beyond that, you go 3 stories deep, like, how bad can shit continually get? And this is common with all kinds of movies, And it's like, how bad can shit get? Movie after damn movie after damn movie. That, you have to... Where's this guy going? I have a stop sign. You don't. You fucking idiot. Okay, but there's cops aplenty coming through, and I just want to get my ass to work. There have been cops everywhere all of a sudden, this whole side of town. What, somebody have a shoot up over there at the fucking gas station and the car wash? Oh well. Cops up here, got somebody pulled over. What the hell is going on today? There's a school. Oh, whoa. You talk about, like, I had the other video labeled movies in a curveball. Damn, all of a sudden there's police everywhere. Huh. Speaking of Big Brother watching you. School bus and everything involved there. Oh well. Back to the Matrix now. But I think Hollywood is kind of gotten themselves a little too deep in some aspects. Because, Terminator and Rambo, they're just drowning themselves. And eventually, it's going to die when the lead actor dies. It's not like they've groomed somebody else to play, another role to this to help advance the life of the franchise. And even if they were to try and do that, would it be clean enough and believable enough to where, like, oh, they can keep the story going? Because that's just too much for me. Just too much for me. It's like the series will die when the actor does. And that's sad to say. I mean, I'm not wishing death upon Schwarzenegger or Stallone or anybody, but the Rocky franchise dies with Stallone. The Terminator franchise dies with Schwarzenegger. And there's no 2 ways about it. Unless you were to reboot that to some degree or to rehash it. Oh yeah, bring back Linda Hamilton for another movie after... remember the kid, I forgot his name, but the kid from Terminator 2. Maybe he gets into this fucking Terminator series of movies and shit. Like I know there is a series, I think it's on Fox or FX or whatever, But, how canon, how accurate is that to the storyline? And is it relevant enough? Is it just filling in gaps in between, like, the space of the movies? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Either way. But it just seems like you can only do so much. And the sad part of that is, you can only do so much. Certain things where you can stretch it out a little bit further works for me. And, if I go back to my rant about, like, the Ninja Turtles and shit like that, like, oh, well, it's not like the movies were when I was a kid. Yeah, but nothing is the way it should have been. Alice in Wonderland, I'm sure, is nothing like what the book was. Wizard of Oz, apparently there was a silent version of so far back in the day, like, and I forget who it was, the fat guy, whether it was Laurel or Hardy, I'll just say it was Hardy. My brother was telling me there was a silent version of Wizard of Oz, and he was in it. So it's like, really, you gotta be shitting me. But, okay, now, is the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz, is that one as accurate? Oh, but that's so long ago. Because we don't know about it, it doesn't matter. Which is really shitty. I hate how people do that all the time. They'll only justify things that, that happened right now or within their lifetime. Like, that's the only shit that ever mattered. Because, like I said, you take Frankenstein. That's an iconic character in film. And it always shows up for Halloween, I mean, so he stretches across further than just, a genre of films. He shows up at a time of year. Not just a Santa Claus type shit. And this guy's at Halloween. Fucking awesome. And plenty of movies. Boris Karloff got all, Universal Films. You can go to Universal Studios right now, and I think they'll have some shit with like the the monsters and stuff like that, and the horror film kind of section. Like wherever that is in the studio. I'm wording that poorly, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, my mom had said, no, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the actual book, as opposed to like the Hollywood movie, way fucking different. Way different. But because nobody really pays attention to that and we don't know about it, if they were to reboot, well, they did. They made a Mary Shelley's Frankenstein movie. I don't know, I'll say that was about 15 or so years ago. Is that anything like the book? And is it anything like the Boris Karloff shit? Because I didn't hear too many great reviews from it. I'm assuming it's not of the Boris Karloff nature of those films, which is probably why it got, less than stellar reviews. Now, I don't know its box office numbers as far as what it pulled in, but because we're so one-track minded on this shit, if that was more accurate to the book, good for you. Absolutely. Oh, and here's another one. Oh, Jurassic World. Everybody is beating their dicks over this. Yeah, another Jurassic Park movie, dinosaurs, fuck yeah. They're just jerking themselves off over this thing. And okay, when that first movie came out, what was that, like 95 or so? About 20 years ago. That was kind of cool on its own because, well, I don't think it had been done before. Big, giant, robotical lizards, I think is what David Letterman was saying. Robotical lizards. And sure, that's what it was, but it was cool to see a T-Rex running after a Jeep trying to kill the fuckers. Like, that was kind of cool shit. And yeah, there was some CG shit in there too, and, maybe a little ahead of its time in that regard. But dinosaurs attacking humans, modern day humans, not just caveman humans. Like this, wow. And the fact that they kind of put science into it, we're like, this could actually happen. They did enough homework on it to make it like, okay, that's believable. That's enough to, and it comes to life. And these things, it's glorified in its own right, and that's fine. But Jurassic World, oh, it's so good. You got to see it. I did see it. I saw it 20 years ago. It was called Jurassic Park. No, it's way different. Okay, let me guess. There's bigger dinosaurs and a lot, and people get killed. Oh, but there's a lot of dinosaurs and a lot of people get killed. So they just fucking took Jurassic Park and put it on steroids. I've seen the movie before. And speaking of Jurassic Park, a friend of mine, and he reads up and down like a motherfucker. He can go through novels like nothing. He reads Stephen King shit, all that stuff. When that first Jurassic Park movie came out, like that's when I first, started hanging out with him. Jesus, we were in 7th grade, I think. And he was a reading machine then. But he told me straight up, he's like, no, that Jurassic Park, like the movie's good, don't get me wrong. But he's like, it's nothing like the book. In the book, Dr. Ian Malcolm gets killed. Well, Dr. Ian Malcolm is Jeff Goldblum in the movie. So they even said he's such a strong actor and character in the movie. They had to bring him back for the second and third. Well, I don't remember the third film so much. But they couldn't kill him because he's Jeff Goldblum. He's such a strong character. That totally kills off the books. But we love Jurassic Park. Just jerking off to that shit. Just loving it way too much. That's okay though. We can. I guess so long as it appeases you in one way, it's okay to offend you in another. Which essentially, that's basically saying, you fucking idiot, you'll love the movie. Maybe you're just a Spielberg junkie. Maybe you love dinosaurs. Whatever the case is. The old guy that was in that first movie, the guy from Miracle on 34th Street. I don't know. Maybe you like Bruce Dern and you thought his daughter there, like, she's kind of cute, whatever. Whatever you had going for that first movie. If that was all okay for you, even though it didn't make sense, you know what? You probably didn't read the book. That's probably what it boils down to. A lot of people will argue, fuck that movie, it's not like the book. But because Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park was so fucking big, I don't think that many people read it who went on to go to the theater to watch the movie. So in that regard, and I have no problem with it, I'm just saying Jurassic World, fuck that. I've already seen it when it was called Jurassic Park. That's all I'm saying. So I don't need to see Jurassic World. I really don't. And I have no ambition to. Like I said, I'm bad with movies. I'm not going to deny that. Part of that's the reason. You got to see this. It's so great. You got to see Due Date. I saw Due Date when it was called Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's exactly what the premise of the movie is. The straight edge guy has got to get somewhere that's very time sensitive, and he gets tied up with some kind of a meathead, lackluster slob. It's the exact same movie, but instead of Thanksgiving for Steve Martin and getting mixed up with John Candy, it is the pregnancy and the birth of Robert Downey Jr.'s child, and he gets tied up with Zach Galifianakis. It's the same premise. Clean-cut guy needs to get somewhere time-sensitive, gets caught up with a goony kind of a guy that's slowing him down and gets him in trouble, slowing his progress. It's the exact same movie. And I think that was only pushed because, what the hell were those movies? I can't even think right now. Not Wedding Crashers. The one that Zach Galifianakis, that movie that put him on the map. Bachelor Party or whatever. God, I can't fucking think of it. God, well, you know what I'm talking about. Right? The movie that put him on the map. I cannot think of that movie for the life of me. Bachelor Party? What the I can't think of it. At any rate, that movie put him on the map, and the constant pressing of Due Date was just because of his popularity. I think that's all it had to do with it. And then, sadly, it's like, yeah, I've seen that movie before. And sure, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. Okay, so you got two actors who are riding a high wave right now. Let's push the shit out of this movie. Like, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. Really don't. And it's kind of sad when I can see through this shit. And, in a previous recording, I'd mentioned an old roommate of mine in college and another buddy of mine they were movie buffs. When I broke that down to them, they were like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's the same premise, but dude, it's Zach Galifianakis. You gotta watch it. It's like, no, I'm okay with that. And even afterwards, they're like, yeah, it was okay. So even that. There was another movie that come out, and I'm going back to that same time frame, about 2008. What was that movie, Cloverfield? Where it was FPS. It was a first-person shooter, haha. No. It was shot in first-person point of view, kind of like Blair Witch, but there was this big monster that was like trying to terrorize the fucking and try to kill everybody in the town. So the best way that one of my film instructors in college had told me, he said it's the Blair Witch meets Godzilla. There's the big monster trying to kill the city, but the point, the shooting of the film is as if you are there with them. But, it's shot on, not iPhones at the time, but it was a first-person point of view. Everybody's recording this on their phones. And, granted, realistically, no, your phone would not last 90 minutes of video recording. The battery would die, rather quickly. But the way that it was shot in that, yeah, it is creative in its own right. And I heard some decent reviews about it. I mean, if you suffer from vertigo or something like that, probably not your kind of movie, much like Blair Witch. A lot of that first person in the camera shaking, running around and bouncing and all that. If that's not for you, fine. But, the premise of it, yeah, it's the Blair Witch meets Godzilla. Okay, that's fine. I kind of want to see it, though, just because, well, you're taking two interesting things and mixing them together. Now, does it live up? Maybe not. But just the premise of that's fine. I kind of like it if a movie will do something like that. Take two things, and granted, sure, Godzilla, like I said, that goes back to, who knows, the 20s and 30s, whatever. Godzilla is another iconic character in Hollywood that's, never going to die. Just not going to happen. But you take that Blair Witch wave that was really high, right around turn of millennium. I think that movie came out in 99 or something like that. And actually, that was a good time for movies, now that I think about it. That's when you had Fight Club and, The Three Kings, and you had shit like, well, Pulp Fiction was a little before that. But you had movies like that were kind of, I don't want to say indie, but just thinking outside the box, another term that we used around the, turn of the millennium. And that was fine. We didn't need all these Terminator and fucking Rocky reboots and, we just did that, but let's wait 10 years and scrap all that shit we just did. This is what's going to be gospel truth of the fucking series. Creativity side of things, I'll give a bit more of a nod to, even if it fails in some areas. I don't need high CG and all that shit, like fucking Avatar. I don't need to see it. No, you got to. The graphics are so fucking... I don't need graphics. I want a good story. Now, sure, I go back to the James Bond shit. Sure, there's a lot of explosions and CG and blah, blah, and all this. But, like I said, that ties a lot of things into the, just the world itself of James Bond. Ties things up a little better, explains a couple of things, and does well to tell the story. I don't need as many explosions. I don't. If I go to watch Terminator, I expect that, But again, it's like, if you start joking upon yourself, apparently there's a scene where Arnold's hand starts shaking a little bit. And he just looks and he says, old. Like, haha, we get it. But it's like, come on, but you're a fucking robot. Granted, apparently they allude to that, like why he's aging or to some degree, whatever. But to me, that cheapens it, and it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. That, like I said, that's placating just to the series is going as far as this guy can pump blood from his heart to his brain. That's about it. Which is kind of sad. But certain things, creativity I will give. I don't always need explosions and blood and heads flying off. Django Unchained. That movie was off the chain. I thought it was funny on all kinds of accounts. And Tarantino doesn't really pull punches. There are racial slurs in there. There's Klansman kind of fucking things in there. But it's, there's Kill Bill style deaths where you shoot somebody and their head explodes in a geyser of blood. It's done to its own niche point comedically. Like Tarantino, I don't know what movie he started doing that with, because he had some blood and some gore in his movies. I mean, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction guaranteed. But along the way, it's just like when he started this geyser of blood for a beheading, might have been Kill Bill, that's when I first noticed it. And I haven't seen all of his films, but I like his work. He tells a good story. The blood and all that shit and the geyser of fucking shit going all over the place, like, that's funny. Like, after a while, like, you get, okay, that's just what he's doing with these movies and the gore and the death. I get that, and it becomes funny to some point. And I can applaud that for what it is. But he does tell a good story. He ties up a lot of loose ends. He does jump around from time frame to time frame. This happened to this person yesterday. 2 days later, this person does this, blah, blah, blah. Then we jump back, this same person 2 days ago when they were talking to that first person we were talking about. And it all ties together really well. Like, that's very unique, and I like that. And basically, I don't think his stories have too many linked-in characters that, insist upon being within themselves. Pulp Fiction characters are not in Inglourious Bastards. They are not in Kill Bill. Well, Kill Bill had Volume 1, Volume 2, whatever. That's got to run side by side, and that's fine. But Reservoir Dogs doesn't mix in with any of it. Maybe there's hints of it, and I'm just not paying close attention. maybe there isn't, oh yeah, I did a job with a guy once out in Bakersfield. Oh, okay, like maybe there's something like that, to be fair, but he's very creative, and granted, I'm not so gaga over his shit. I haven't seen Inglourious Bastards, I haven't, and what's the new one coming up? It's got another name like that, like, you know, Sons of Bitches or something like that. It's got another kind of rough, gruff, callous name to it. Inglourious Bastards, right? Isn't that the one? Wait, Inglourious Bastards, and I don't know. I know there's another one coming up with a name very similar. But, okay, I kind of know what his niche in filmmaking is, and that's fine. Tell a good story. That's what I want. If I got to go back to the Ninja Turtle thing, I need to watch the Michael Bay version. But so long as it tells a good story and it doesn't fuck up too much, I'm okay with it. You know, so long as the names are consistent, that match the eye mask that they're wearing, that's fine. Splinter the Rat trained them. How they come across April O'Neil, the news lady, I don't know. I don't really care. Just so long as it's understood, you know, that they're okay with each other to some degree, whatever, blah, blah, blah. How it happens, it doesn't have to be like that first movie from 1989. It doesn't have to be like that, like they rescue her from getting mugged. I don't know what the fucking, what the comic book was like. So, to keep things very canon and very accurate to the series itself, I'm not going to be too butthurt over that one. But a lot of things, some people they'll take liberties at it. Like, you know, a lot of people, I'll go to the Jurassic Park versus Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay, well, fuck this movie. Maybe they just don't like Michael Bay. Maybe it was so far away from the original movies and the cartoons that it makes zero sense. Possible. But if he aimed more towards the comic books, then I, lazy ass, would have to read the fucking comics to see if it makes sense. But I want to watch that to enjoy it and just to see, like, is it a good movie? Do things coincide well enough to appease my humor? And to tell the good story of it all. I don't need a whole lot of explosions and in-depth all the... You know, you got to quicken up the pace a little bit. I will say, that first Incredible Hulk movie that had Sam Elliott, that one was very slow for its own good. And sure, you know, with the Avengers movies, now, God, we're on to our third Hulk character? Or actor, excuse me? There was that one. There was Edward Norton. Now we got the guy that's in the Avengers movies, I believe. We might be on a fourth one. Well, shit, go back to the fucking TV show and Lou Ferrigno and all that shit. Does that ring true? Or was that just made in popularity of the comics at the time? I don't know. But I will say that first movie with Sam Elliott was slow for, you know, I wanted to see Hulk smash. It was very descriptive and really set the table for you know, the next movies that came up after that one. But yeah, some things need to quicken up the pace a little bit. So with the Ninja Turtles, it looks like they do. But I'll have to see it myself to totally understand and believe it. So, I got less than 2 minutes on this one to go. A double recording. You're getting 2 cans of audio whoop-ass. God, I'm just stealing phrases on podcasts now. But you're getting a double dose here of movies, independent this and that. You know, yeah, a little bit of video games for you. Nothing wrong with that. By the way, another good one that I like, Terraria. That's a fun one. If you like Minecraft, but you want a little bit more fast forward, play Terraria. That rings true to old games like Legend of Zelda and Metroid. Early Nintendo. I'm talking mid-'80s when that shit first came out. Terraria is a good one that rings true to that. There's an element of Minecraft to it. But that one, as far as it's cryptic and there's, you know, side bosses and main bosses and you gotta fucking... How do you kill this guy? Well, you need to get this weapon. How do I get this weapon? You gotta work at it. You gotta either find it or build it or make it. That's a fun one. A good indie game to look out for. I really dig that one. Haven't played it in a little bit myself, but I talked all across indie scene with beer and movies and video games. And, well, hey, you just had damn near an hour of me talking movies yet again. But I gotta get my ass into work. I got about 40 seconds left. You know the routine. I will catch your ass down the road. Hey, never know. Maybe I'll get another one of these booted up in just a couple hours. We'll see. We'll see. But I will catch your ass down the road.